Suddenly, a loud bark echoed behind her, and she spun around to see a large, scruffy dog bounding after her. Her pulse quickened, and without thinking, she broke into a sprint, desperate to escape the creature's enthusiastic chase. Emma's fear heightened as she realized she couldn't outrun it. Panicking, she spotted a nearby villa and without hesitation, scrambled up the iron gate that bordered the property. But in her haste, she misjudged her footing and lost her balance, toppling over the other side and landing hard on the ground. Her clothes caught on the spikes of the gate, and she struggled to free herself as the dog continued to bark relentlessly from the other side. Frantic and out of breath, Emma dashed into the villa, hoping to find shelter. She stumbled into a room, only to freeze as her eyes landed on a boy lying on a bed, fast asleep. The dog, still following her, charged in after her, barking with relentless energy. The boy woke up, groggily rubbing his eyes, and blinked at her in confusion. "Well, if you kiss me, the dog will stop barking." "It's mine." Emma stared at him in disbelief. "What? Are you serious?" Before he could respond, "What's going on?" he asked, his voice thick with sleep. Emma, feeling both embarrassed and desperate, backed away from the dog. She grabbed a pillow from the bed and began smacking him with it, her frustration spilling over. "Are you out of your mind?" she shouted. He chuckled at her outburst, clearly unfazed. Standing up and taking the dog by the collar. The dog calmed down immediately as the boy led it out of the room. Emma took a deep breath, trying to collect herself. She wasn't sure what was more embarrassing, running from a dog or being caught in someone else's house, half hanging from a gate. The boy returned, giving her an understanding smile. "You're safe now. There's a branded suit in the cupboard, if you want to change. You can still make it to the cafe and meet your boyfriend." Emma nodded gratefully, although she still felt shaken. "Please. Can you help me?" The boy let out a soft laugh, his eyes twinkling mischievously. Emma's heart raced as she made her way down the quiet street toward the cafe where her boyfriend, Jason, was waiting. She had been looking forward to their afternoon together. "Don't worry." Her pulse quickened. She changed into the suit, which was sleek and elegant, and rushed out of the villa, hoping she hadn't ruined her plans for the day. When she arrived at the cafe, Jason was already sitting at a table, but his face was anything but welcoming. His arms were crossed, and his brow furrowed as he looked at her. "Where have you been?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she sat down, feeling a wave of shame wash over her. "I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't mean to." "And you lost the earring I gave you," he scolded, his voice cold and frustrated. Emma's stomach dropped. She had completely forgotten about the earring in the chaos. Jason cut her off, his voice rising. "That was expensive. You need to go back and find it." The words stung more than she expected. She had hoped for comfort, but all she received was anger. She stood up, fighting back tears. "I'll go back and find it. I promise." As Emma walked out of the cafe, her heart heavy with disappointment, she could feel the weight of her emotions pressing down on her. She had wanted to make everything perfect, but now, she wasn't sure if she could ever fix the broken pieces. With a sigh, she turned back toward the villa, determined to find the earring and hopefully, restore a bit of peace to the mess her day had become.
David sat on the edge of the bed, his mind swirling with thoughts about everything that had happened. He had never expected his life to take this turn, never imagined that he would be here, in this moment, trying to understand the complexities of love and heartbreak. His thoughts were interrupted when the door creaked open, and Emma entered the room. Her eyes were puffy, her face flushed with sadness. She had been through so much, and her usually bright energy was clouded by the pain she had experienced. Emma sat beside David, the silence between them thick and heavy. Her lips trembled as she finally spoke, her voice cracking with emotion. He knew the pain of betrayal too well, but seeing Emma like this made him want to do anything to take away her hurt. "You deserve someone who sees your beauty, inside and out." Emma looked up at him, her tear-filled eyes meeting his, and David offered her a smile. They both turned to look at the small earring on the floor, its precious stone catching the light, reflecting the fragments of their thoughts. "I can't find the other earring," Emma whispered. David smiled softly and shook his head. "Maybe it's not about finding the earring. Maybe it's about finding the things that truly matter, like love and trust." In that moment, Emma realized that despite losing an earring, she had found something far more precious, true love. As David's words sank in, her heart began to shift. She found herself falling for him, not just because of what he had said, but because of the kindness, the care, and the gentle understanding he had shown her. In the midst of everything, she realized that David had always been there for her, and maybe, just maybe, love was what she had been looking for all along. "David, I don't know what to do. Jason." She paused, fighting back tears. "Jason." She paused, fighting back tears. "He just humiliated me in front of everyone at the cafe. I thought he loved me, but I was just a joke to him." Her voice broke as she continued, pouring out the heartache she had been carrying. "He made me feel worthless. I thought I meant something to him." David listened quietly, his heart aching for her. It wasn't much, but he hoped it was enough to reassure her. "You're not alone in this," he continued. "I don't know how or why it happened, but the truth is, you've always had a place in my heart. I care about you more than you realize." Emma wiped away a tear and, for the first time since entering the room, a small, genuine smile appeared on her face. It was a weak smile, but it was there, and it meant something. David could feel her tension slowly ease, and for a brief moment, the sadness that had been clouding her heart seemed to lift. "Emma, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But I want you to know something. You are worth so much more than you can imagine. Follow my channel for more stories of life, love and experience."